Welcome to Therapy Hour with the Buddie system.
Grab an emotional support plushie and tissues.
Because we're going through the stages of grief.
This is a special episode containing spoilers for Season 8, Episode 15, Lab Rats. If you haven't watched it, pause now and come back after you're done, because you're going to need some buddies.
Hi, hello. We are gathered here today.
Oh, no.
No, we're not doing a eulogy. We're gathered here today not to talk about episodes 14 and 15 like we originally told you. We're so sorry. Don't blame us. Blame Tim Minear. Just want to be clear. We just are not in an emotional state to like deep dive into the character arcs and the themes and no. We can't do it. We're going through it and we're going through the stages of grief. So someone on our live stream after the episode suggested, why don't you like just do a touch base episode instead of, your regular one? Because we were like, we don't know if we can do it. And thank you for that idea. Thank you. So what we decided, Rachel had this idea of doing the 5 stages of grief. So we're going to do 5 sections. We're going to do denial and talk about why this could not be
and maybe should not
a real yep and why it shouldn't, and then we're gonna be angry for a little bit, just a little angry,
which we don't usually do.
No, we don't,
but we have to get it out.
We're sorry, except Tim. No, this is your fault. No. Speaking of Tim, bargaining is just going to be an open letter to Tim Minear
directly.
Yes, to bargain with him, mayhaps. Then we have depression, which is self-explanatory. And then acceptance.
Loosely.
Acceptance. So
in the loosest definition of the term.
Yeah. Very briefly, let's touch base with where the 3 of us are individually.
Not good. Bad. Very bad. Very bad.
It's my line. Yeah, we're not good. I'm not good. I'm still in the denial, anger, but also acceptance kind of stages. I don't know where really I am because I keep thinking that this is a fake out. But then they have all these fucking interviews. You've got the Kenny one, and then you got Tim Minear, and then you got Angela, and it's kind of just like, I don't know what to believe. And then you've got the like all the things leading up to this point. It's just like, I don't know what to believe. And no, Tim. The body bag did not convince me.
Body bag was not a body.
No, it's just a bag.
It's just a bag.
It's just a bobby bag.
Like, unless you're actually like I feel like they should have just shown me him being put him
like
in
a little bit of his head.
Yeah. Like, what are we doing here?
We're going to touch on that in denial. Also.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm in this, like, I accept that he's dead. That's it. I accept it. Don't know what else to do with that.
Yeah.
I believe you 100% that he's dead. Yep. 100% accepted that.
For now. Yeah. I'm a little all over the place. Well, I've been so sure, and I won't even say in like a Delulu kind of way, in like the narrative is leading me to believe this kind of way, that I've been like, things are fine. I'm not going to crash out about it until I see it on my screen. It's cool. We're not in denial before it happened. I'm just like, I'm holding out judgment. And then we watched the show last night, and I just kept flip-flopping in between, and like, again, check out the live stream, because I'm talking myself in circles about whether I think it's real or not real. And I woke up this morning and I was like, yeah, I think it's still a fake out. And then I read the press articles, and like this morning, and I started crying again because I was like, ooh, this doesn't feel real good. So that gave me all sorts of emotions.
I'm somewhere in between here. During the episode, I went into it being like, he's gonna be fine. Like, I knew he was gonna die, but I was like, he's coming back. Yeah. Like, this is a fake out. Whether it's a coma dream, whether he's being buried alive. Know how that's happening in 16, but I was like, he's coming back, so I'm not gonna be upset as like I should be had I not been spoiled for things. We'll get into that. And then during the live stream, I started out again, in that same place, just like, well, I'm so sure. But then we started seeing like quotes from the interviews, and I was like, a little less sure, a little less sure, a little less sure. And I think I got all the way down to like 30-70. He's dead. Like, like 30% chance he's ever coming back. And then I went to sleep and I woke up and I was like, I haven't felt this way about a character death since Endgame. Like, this is really bad. And then the first thing that I saw this morning was Kenny's interview.
Yeah.
And like all the other interviews, I was like, Tim is a known liar. I mean, they all lie for a profession, that's acting. And then doing press is PR. So it's part lying. So I was taking all of it with a grain of salt, especially Tim's stuff I always take with a grain of salt. But the Kenny stuff, I was like, this is either the world's best performance, give him a fucking
Emmy,
an Oscar, an Emmy. I don't know what you would get.
Give him an EGOT
for press
at this point.
Yeah, because he made me cry. And I was like, well, he's dead. He's dead. This is what convinced me. So now I'm 99.9% sure that he's dead. 0.1%. I'm holding out hope. And you know what? I would love to be wrong. I would love for them to say got you. I think that'd be a great got you. I think that would actually be a way better storytelling, and it would be a little messed up, but it would be less messed up than if he's dead.
Yeah, it would be messed up in a way of like, I emotionally manipulated you.
Yes.
Haha.
Has there ever been a TV show that would have done like this very elaborate gotcha? Like
with the leaks and the press and the
leaks and the
everything on
press and
purpose?
all of
I don't
that?
know to the extent of like what level other shows have done it.
It would have people talking. It would go down like in the books,
history. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's been done for a show of this magnitude because this is a big show. It's a big show on a big network. It's very popular. It's highly rated. So this episode's not. But
no.
Anyway, that's where we're at. So sit down and let's hold hands and talk about how Bobby Nash isn't actually dead and why he shouldn't be dead if he is dead. This is denial. We're in denial by Dochi.
Deep denial.
It's not
denial
just
is a river.
Egypt.
Bobby isn't dead.
No. So we talked about this on the podcast before, but in a different use. But there's been a lot of foreshadowing for like a coma thing. But we're going to talk about foreshadowing specifically first for Bobby to be fake dead. In episode 4 of this season, we get a throwback to season 2 montage of everyone coming to visit Bobby at home because Bobby isn't captain right now. And it's just a montage that shows you that the 118 doesn't work without Bobby as captain. And how do we know that? Oh, because all the characters say it.
Yeah.
And they're begging him to come back.
Like it said in the text, and they're like, this doesn't work without you.
Nope.
And it shows how much they still look toward and rely on Bobby. And that hasn't changed.
So like another piece of foreshadowing could be like in 805 Masks, he was dressed as Dracula, being in the coffin, rising from the dead or being undead.
That would be great.
He could just be napping in the coffin,
For vampire sleep.
He'll come out eventually. But like somebody posted the clip of the Twilight or the Breaking Dawn Part 2 fake out. And I was like, the vampire was for Twilight all along. Because it could be a dream or a vision. It was a vision, right? Yeah. So could go either or.
Yeah, totally. Also in 808 Wannabes, we had that whole entire scene and emergency where there was a guy on the ledge of a bridge.
I think his name was Craig.
What was
his name? Was Craig.
His name was Craig. And
sorry.
And Brad Torrance, who was shadowing the 118 at that time, was basically talked him down because the guy was a fan of Hot Shots, and Brad was talking about, he thinks they should kill off his character who is the captain of the 119 in Hot Shots. And Craig, the guy, is like, you can't kill him off because he's the Captain Race Banner is like the heart of the Fire Fam and the heart of the show. And
what keeps 119 Fire Fam together.
Yeah. And ends up, talking the guy down and acknowledging that. And then Brad has his character wake up from a coma in the Hot Shots show.
Yeah, because he promised the guy he would if he came down.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have an Holy Mother of God, a wife who was buried alive in the garden.
She was poisoned first, and then she
yes, but she survives
Poison virus.
Mm-hmm. And she did grab Bobby's leg when she just sprung up from the ground. So there's that connection as well.
Mm-hmm. Also in Holy Mother of God, we get introduced to Bobby's mom, who has she was kind of like a con artist. She was one of those part of those super mega churches and doing all this healing and acting like she was actually healing someone, and her being Mother of God can also make Bobby Jesus, which we have said many times on this podcast since season 1.
Just in general, I think there's been a lot of alluding to Bobby as the 911 Jesus. So there's that.
Yeah.
There's also the inspired use of Hozier's work song.
It's gonna ruin this fucking song for me
in 8:15. I know it's such a beautiful and it's such a fantastic song. And now that's all I'm gonna be thinking of. So thanks. But the use of work song in 8:15, the lyrics are "No grave can hold my body down. I'll crawl home to her." Literally just resurrecting yourself and coming back to your love.
Yeah.
Bobby coming back to Athena.
Exactly. Bury me, but I'm coming home to her.
My Bobby.
No grave can hold my Bobby down. The fact that this song was playing during the Bobby and Athena goodbye.
Yes.
It's very indicative of that.
Yep. Then we had someone in the live stream last night point this out to us in the promo from the funeral, not the procession, the actual funeral service, behind, I'm assuming, the fire chief who's speaking.
Yeah, it's inside the church.
Inside the church, there is a painting called The Resurrection, because what is it? Oh, the resurrection of Christ.
And that painting is also a pair to another painting, which is the crucifixion. But it's interesting then that they have them in front of the resurrection as opposed to the crucifixion, because that could also be a choice, and it would mean different things. There are also a few Star Trek Wrath of Khan references. So of course in the episode itself in 8:15, we have most notably when Bobby and Athena are saying goodbye and they put their hands on the other side of the glass. That is very referential to the Wrath of Khan, which is the movie where Spock, spoiler alert for a 50-year-old movie, when Spock dies and he's on the other side of the glass and Spock and Kirk put their hands together on opposite sides of the glass because they're separated from that. So in that movie, Spock dies. But in the next one, and I forget the name of the next one. What is it? You remember?
Oh, The Search for Spock.
Oh, The Search for Spock. So he comes back, obviously. So that's referenced within the visual aspect of the episode itself. Furthermore, there in one of the interviews that Tim gave, he referenced Wrath of Khan. He said he wanted it to be...
It's a Wrath of Khan moment.
Yeah, he said he wanted it to be a Wrath of Khan moment, like Bobby's goodbye. And Oliver on Instagram last night, when all of the cast members were posting their pictures and their goodbyes to Peter, not Bobby, by the way,
which was also
it was
interesting.
all Peter, not Bobby. But Oliver captioned his photos with
The dialogue.
with very similar dialogue where in Wrath of Khan, is it Spock or Kirk? I think it's Spock, right?
The final words are, "I have been and always shall be your friend,"
Yeah. So
while gasping for air before his death from radiation poisoning.
So that's what Spock says. And Oliver captioned his post with, "You have and always will be our leader."
Mm-hmm.
Very similarly.
And next we have a visual parallel from the actual episode when Bobby he's getting into position to pray. It is a visual parallel to the Jesus praying in the garden painting. This portrays like Jesus praying in the garden right before he's like crucified. I mean, there are other, like we mentioned before, there are other like religious imagery or like Jesus imagery, just like the painting, the other painting we talked about. But right before he's crucified. So
and before he's resurrected. I think it's also important to note, like we learned through the interviews, that was Peter Krause's suggestion and decision to have Bobby go into that like prayerful position.
Oh, and the episode aired on the day before Good Friday. Good Friday being the day that Jesus is crucified.
Then is resurrected.
And then resurrected
3 days later.
Uh-huh.
Maybe 3 weeks in this instance.
Hey, is it actually 3 weeks?
It's 2.
It's 2. Well, whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
Time works differently in the 911 universe.
Sure.
Okay?
Then we have, I think, the most egregious thing. Either way, which is the script leak, right? We had this posted twice, the same page of this script from episode 16, allegedly, that both Oliver and Jennifer Love Hewitt posted to their stories, different pictures. But Oliver posted his. It was a picture of him, like, I think at lunch with Aisha, and it was like on the table, like video, underneath. Yeah, like video, like underneath, like
some
food,
tortilla
the
chips.
plate or whatever.
Yeah, he panned up from the script to Aisha.
And JLH's, was that a photo?
That was a photo.
That was a photo.
Like a mirror photo.
Yeah, like in her dressing room or whatever.
With the script on the desk.
The same page and the same lines of dialogue can be read, and the most important ones that would be Maddie saying, 911, what's your emergency? And then Bobby saying, this is Robert Dash, I'm being buried alive.
And it's very clear, specifically from Oliver's video. And it's just like a teeny tiny screenshot that people got because, of course, he deleted it right afterwards. But if you like zoom in on Jennifer Love Hewitt's picture, it looks very similar in how it's laid out on the page. Also, just to note, these were posted on April Fool's Day,
which was the day after the funeral leaks, where they filmed his funeral procession on one of the busiest streets in LA
on a Sunday,
which seems like, if you didn't want the death to leak, a weird thing to do.
And I think one more thing to note, we kind of mentioned it within 8:15, the episode, we didn't see Bobby actually die. I think that's a creative choice. But not only that, but we didn't see a body, a dead body. We only saw the Bobby bag, if you will. We only saw them carting out the body bag. Not a look at Bobby, and assuming Bobby's inside it. Not a look at them, double checking for time of death, which I'm not sure they could have because everybody was in, the protective hazmat gears and everything like that, including Bobby. So and it's just like a very classic movie, TV sort of thing. If you don't see a body, they're not dead, because it's one of those show don't tell things. If you don't see it with your own eyes, there's always going to be a little room for doubt.
Yep. So this leads us to what could and should be happening, which is that Chimney is having a coma dream. And why do we think this, you ask? Well, because there was a white flash as soon as they gave him that antiviral. And where did we see a white flash like that before?
Oh.
When Buck was in a coma.
And not only when Buck was in a coma, that it flashes when he wakes up inside his coma.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So they've already established that visual language within the series.
We also have Ray Spanner from Hot Shots waking up from a coma and then like having the Chimney as the doctor saying it's a miracle.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, a miracle for a Jesus character. Like, one of the reasons that we think it could be a Chimney coma dream is for him to kind of like work through his anxieties of becoming a father again, specifically a father to a son, because of his relationship with his own father. And this was kind of foreshadowed with his conversation with Bobby when he was asking Bobby about, you know, having a son and how that's different than having a daughter and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's weighing on his mind.
And last, but certainly not least, are the bajillion fucking Wizard of Oz references this season.
Through the entire season.
Since the beginning.
Yeah.
Why? Why so many Wizard of Oz references?
And not
if not Dream.
Because that's what the Wizard of Oz is. It's based on a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
A realistic dream. And you were there. And you were there.
And you were there.
Like, and they even said in the previous episode in 814 that they were, Athena said they're building the yellow brick road like into the lab facility.
Uh-huh.
And I think we just want to mention in our denial phase that there is precedence for killing off a character or faking out killing off a character, and specifically having the actor or the actors, the press and everything really reflect and indicate that it is a real death, only for it to not be so. So we just have a couple quick examples. I guess spoilers for these. If you haven't seen Jane the Virgin from a number of years ago, the character of Michael was dying and he died. They killed him off essentially. And the actor was giving exit interviews. He wrote a letter to the fans. Everybody was like very reactionary. And it turned out that they brought him back. They brought him back alive. Jane the Virgin is, of course, modeled very much after like telenovelas. So it's a very dramatic thing, but
so is 911. We have a fucking doppelganger storyline.
I know.
If that's not a telenovela, I don't know what is.
Exactly. So just like that PR press leaning into all of that stuff, like the letter to the fans, because Peter Krause just released a statement as a letter to the fans as well. Like this has been done before. And then we've also seen this again with The Walking Dead. They faked out Glenn's death before like the actual one, and Jon Snow in Game of Thrones. People kill characters off all the time and have them be fake outs. And the press, which isn't necessarily show running, but does reflect that, and then surprise, they bring them back. It's been done.
Okay, welcome to our rage room. It's time to talk about the stage of anger. I'm very much living here. I woke up angry, which is not a feeling that I like to have after watching one of my favorite things.
Does anybody?
No.
No. So I guess where I want to start is to say, if the plan was to kill Bobby, why did we waste so much time on Hot Shots at the beginning of the season and Bobby being apart from the 118? When we could have had more storylines of them all together, of them getting closer, more emotionally impactful things, so that when this finally happened, not only do we have a lot more new memories to hold on to, but also it's more emotionally impactful because it's more of a gut punch. Also, why wasn't there more meat given to the reactions? Like when Bobby dies. These are incredible actors. Why were we not given more time with it? Why was there only 5 minutes for us and for them to like perform and deliver this like very heavy, one of the biggest thing they've ever fucking done on the show, because they've never done a major character death. Yeah. Why was there only 5 minutes? Why wasn't there more for them to dig into? like as the actors that we know they are. Like, yes, Athena had a good amount, but like everyone else just got like a moment of anguish. Some people got nothing, which we'll talk about last. I just don't know. I just feel like I should have been bawling my fucking eyes out, and I was not.
I was.
I know you were, but you cry so easily. So that's not saying any. That's not. I'm sorry. That's not giving them flowers.
No.
No.
Listen, I feel like I would say I am someone who cries easily. Like if I felt the emotional impact,
yeah,
I would have been crying.
Me
but
too.
I feel cheated out. One, because the leaks. Two, because like I just don't think it makes sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Nope.
And I've cried over character deaths. And I mean, I know we're going to get into two specific ones. Well, one of them I didn't cry for. But like, this just there was no emotional impact for me. I mean, there is based on like what they were acting out in that final scene with between Athena and Bobby. But I just feel cheated out.
Yeah.
Because of everything leading up to this.
Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry, Tim. I'm not sorry. Actually, you should be sorry because your reasoning that you gave in all of these interviews was, it's a show about first responders and I put them through all this stuff and it's just unrealistic that they always come out okay. First of all, it's season 8 and just now you care about this. Second of all, since when have you cared about realism on this show? Literally ever. Literally ever. Rebar through the fucking head.
In episode 3,
crushed by a fire engine, not an amputee, survived and not an amputee.
Tsunami, a child in the tsunami.
Yes.
Struck by lightning, died for 3 minutes, came back.
Died for 14 minutes last season.
Yeah. No brain damage.
The throat. Maddie's throat this season, which
in just a couple episodes
every medical
prior?
professional has been like, you just can't survive that period. Like, unless you were literally in a hospital. And it was a very, very shallow slice. Yeah. And I'm not even talking about death. There's just like not realism in the show. And I love that. It's one of the reasons I love this. Yeah. I love the camp. I love that like there are emotional stakes, but like it's also silly, goofy fun.
We don't watch it for the realism.
Who the fuck here cares about realism? It sure hasn't been any of the many, many people who watch this show. That's not why we're here. If we wanted realism, we would watch the news.
Yeah.
And I don't want to watch that either.
Nope.
No.
I want fun, escapism, comfort characters, going through the horrors, but coming out the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Realism.
Be so fucking for real right now, Tim. Realism. What do we start out this season with? A B-NATO and then a fucking middle schooler.
Landing a damaged aircraft on the highway?
On an LA highway.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
And there are more unbelievable things than that in this show. So it's like, it's fine. Why is it this?
I'm willing to suspend my disbelief for like pretty much everything. So like, and obviously the audiences too, this is the highest performing fucking network television show.
Yeah.
And it's the 8th season. You just got renewed for a 9th. Who do you think cares about that? Anyway, moving on. Because I feel like we could be there for a while.
Yeah. Yes, I keep coming up with like more kind of reasons.
That's an insane reason. That's a stupid reason. I'm sorry. That's really stupid.
That's a cop-out reason to me.
It is.
Think. Yeah, that's a.
It's not because I felt like it was the right thing to do for the character.
Realism.
No.
Realism as a creative choice, though.
Okay.
So I kind of want to talk about like what feels like what could be a slap in the face with like the Brad Torrance of it all and like talking down the guy from like the literal edge, and saying that where the guy was like, oh, you can't kill off the captain because he's the heart of the show. Mm-hmm. And like Brad was like, no, he's okay, fine. He's going to live basically and all of that. And it's kind of like, I don't know, because like I feel like his name is Craig. Sorry. I feel like that was kind of like us as an audience, like this is how we feel about Bobby, right? Like he is the heart of the show. He is the person that keeps the fire fam together, the 118 together. So like what kind of message are we sending? Because like at the literal end of that episode of 808, they have like a suicide hotline PSA. Like what are we doing here? It feels icky. It feels. I'm gonna bring in Supernatural.
We're multiple times we're going to.
Yeah.
I mean, Supernatural has done the thing where they've done meta episodes, and they've done one where it was like a Supernatural convention, and like it feels like they were taking the piss out of like of their fans in that episode. I think it was like season 5.
It was season 4.
Season 4.
Monster at the end of this book.
So now, like with the Suicide Hotline and Craig being like an embodiment of like the audience, like it's kind of like I feel like we're being mocked a little bit. And if you actually kill if Bobby's actually dead, what message are we sending here, Tim? What are we doing here?
Yeah, I know Tim has said in some of these interviews that like he was using this scene as a bit of a nod to like what he was thinking, of doing down the line. And to that I say, well, if you acknowledge it explicitly like that in the show, you are aware because
of how the audience would react.
Because it's a meta-analysis, you are aware of how the audience feels about these characters, specifically like the Bobby character, and how they would react if he was to be actually killed off. And then to have within the framework of the show and the show the Hot Shots, to have Brad decide, okay, we're not going to kill him off. We're going to bring him back. So then there's like that little bit of hope there that he gives to Craig and that the rest, I guess, of the Hot Shots audience would have as well. To then completely contradict what you've already established that you are completely aware of in reality by having Bobby die for real, that's just really disingenuous. That reeks of disingenuousness to me, because it's like, it's you saying, okay, I know how you feel, but also I don't really care because I'm going to do what I want anyways. And that's icky.
There's a difference between like what would normally be like, you don't have to, you don't have to, and you shouldn't only write things for fan service, only write things because of what the fans would want. But when it comes to especially the reasoning that he's giving behind killing Bobby, it being like, it needs to be so that there's like stakes and like emotional investment. I'm like, people were emotionally invested. You have said it yourself. So
even within the frame of Hot Shots, Brad's character was a little like despondent. He was like, I don't feel like I'm making a difference. So I think I'm going to kill off my character and leave, which is kind of mirroring what we're seeing as the rhetoric that Tim is putting forward here. But we have yet to get that hope back because you're saying like he's dead when you've already acknowledged like that is not necessarily the best /right/ most accepted thing to do.
Yeah.
So it just seems like weird to me. There's a quote that Buck says in 805 in Masks, and he says, it's in the monologue at the very end. He says, kind of paraphrase, I can't imagine anything more painful than going through life alone, except maybe one thing, going through death alone. And meanwhile, you have, sure, you can say that's foreshadowing and whatnot, but here you have a situation where everyone is so isolated and fractured because they're in the lab, because they're cut off from each other, like in the lab, outside of the lab, also in these hazmat suits, that these characters can't even provide like the physical comfort, like a hug goodbye, like that touch, that would probably do so much.
Athena couldn't even have that with Bobby as a goodbye.
No. And it's just like, and so that kind of physicality and comfort is completely ripped away. Like, yes, they might have been in the same vicinity. Buck was trapped outside. They couldn't get inside, the ones inside couldn't get outside. So it's very isolating in that way. So essentially, and especially Bobby made that decision to go through death alone. And it's just like, that is probably the most painful thing.
I don't know how this is supposed to progress or advance like anyone's like storyline.
That was the other reason he gave.
Yeah.
It was like, it just opens up so much. And I'm like, really? How? Because we don't want to see an entire 3-episode arc and then them forgetting about it and moving on like everything's fine. And we also don't want to see them just dealing with it for all of time. And it's just like, you are irreparably changing the show, and I fear it's not for the better. I don't see where we're going with this for everyone's storylines, which is one of the 3 reasons he gave. And I am just like, it just doesn't feel like all the possibilities I can think of. It doesn't feel like 911.
No.
Feels like Grey's fucking Anatomy. And you know what? If I wanted to watch that, I would do it. I would go do it. I can.
I agree.
Yeah.
I only watched 2 seasons of that show, and I can't. I don't really like it. If I really wanted to be upset all the time, yeah, I'd probably go and watch Grey's fucking Anatomy. But like, it just feels very dark and very cold, and this cloud of doom, like thinking about like all of the potential storylines that they could go through. But it just doesn't, it just doesn't feel like 911. Like, how are we really going to get these characters to go through all of this? It's hard. And I get that. I saw someone say, like, you can get growth out of grief, but
you get growth out of a lot of things.
I think that's such a cop-out answer as a writer.
And here's my thing. My problem with it is not major character death in and of itself.
Right. Like, that's okay. There's a time and place for it.
It's just the fact that it's unprecedented 8 seasons into a show, and this is how it was done. Yeah. I think it's bad.
It breaks the entire formula of the show.
It breaks the formula, and it breaks the trust with the audience. It works for Grey's because they've been killing people.
The formula.
Exactly. Here's my thing too, is like, it breaks trust in a lot of ways, but also this is a comfort show for a lot of people. Yes, the characters are all traumatized as fuck. Yes, they're constantly like almost dying, but it's still a comfort show because I can plug in and I can be invested in their trauma, knowing that they're actually going to be okay and not die at the end of the day. And I don't have to worry about that. There are still stakes. I'm still invested, but I don't have to worry, oh my God, are they actually going to be okay at the end of the episode? And that's been a comfort for a lot of people. But now that we've opened this can of worms, we'll never have that comfort ever again. You've broken that trust. And I have seen a lot of people, and not just us, not just people like us who are not normal people saying that they're done with the show.
Like people on Facebook.
Yes. Moms on Facebook are unhappy.
People writing reviews to the Deadline articles that are like,
Jesus,
that have never written a review before in their lives. Like,
putting their whole government name on there. I'm so sorry.
Co-signed, like, sincerely. First, middle, last name. But to speak to, like, how does it advance everyone's storylines? Like, just first of all, like, Bobby and Athena have gone through so much, and they've spent so much time thinking that they'd lose each other. They've earned a happy ending, both of them individually and together, like individually as characters, but together as a unit, as Athena. They've earned a happy ending, and to just like rip it away from both of them is super depressing. And that's like putting it really mildly. And Bobby's growth to embrace life and love and happiness is so earned throughout these 8 seasons. And he deserves to live that out fully. There are plenty of other stories and opportunities that you can make with that. So many. Like, this doesn't have to be the end of it. Just specifically to call out for Buck, his mentor and his only good father figure.
He's the only good father figure for all of them.
He is the only good father figure. I mean, besides the characters who are fathers.
Yes, but I'm talking about the core 4. It's the only good father parent figure they have. I mean, like, Chimney has his mom, but she died when he was really young.
And so he has the Lees. Those are adoptive parents.
Adoptive parents,
all of the blood
that are still living, unfortunately,
suck. And we've talked about this multiple times. We are co-presidents of the Parent Hate Club. But to have Bobby be ripped away from all of them like that, they weren't done with him.
No.
There's still so many things that you could be doing with this storyline.
Yeah, we'll get into that in bargaining.
Yeah, it's just insane to me. Like, this man was homeless, building a home with Athena, it was their dream home, and the fact that she has to be a widow again. Basically, this is the third husband she's losing. Like
the second/third love of her life.
It's just fucked up.
That's not fair to her. How is she going to survive that? I was just going to bring up Dean Winchester.
Dean Winchester. Yeah, that's what I was going to get into. Listen, if you haven't watched Supernatural, spoiler alert, Dean Winchester dies in the stupidest way possible after he survives a lot of...
Like, even stupider than this, honestly.
It is stupider than this because he has, like, angels of shit who can heal him. He gets some rebar in his back, not even through his skull, you know? And it's really fucked up for Dean because, much like Bobby, his battle with self-worth issues and suicidal ideation and intentions, and finally getting to a place of peace and acceptance and, like, excited to, like, have a new lease in life. Like, Dean Winchester was, like, literally saved the world in the most world-saving way they had in the whole 15 seasons. He was filling out job applications. He had one to be a firefighter.
No.
And then they killed him like this. And it just sends a terrible fucking message. It just sends a terrible fucking message that, like, oh, you have a slice of happiness? Well, your storyline is resolved. And it's like, what is the... Because not only is it, like, storylines for the characters, but, like, stories are also teaching morals of the story. Like, what is the message that you're delivering with the story? And it's giving very much like, well, your purpose in life was to suffer and to help other people, and, like, you've done that. So you can be at peace now.
You don't get
Not
a chance
yourself,
to be happy,
but, like, exactly.
Right? It's like, why are you taking that opportunity for happiness away from them? Happiness does not mean stagnation.
No.
It just means, like, a new path.
I also very briefly compared this because I'm also really upset about the Tony Stark's death. Because Tony Stark is one of my favorite characters of all time. So that fucking destroyed me in Endgame. But even though I have some issues of, like, well, you could have done this or done that, ultimately it is a satisfying end for his character. Much more comparatively, especially to Dean and Bobby. Like, when I rewatch Endgame, I still sob. And I don't think I'm ever going to rewatch this Contagion arc and sob because I'm just gonna be angry.
Like, I'm hoping that maybe something can fix it, but, like, I don't think I can. I don't think I can watch this arc either and cry like I did with, oh my god, like with Endgame when I watched it opening night. That was I was looking at the screen, like, you know, you're in the middle of that. I was concerned mid-fight. I was concerned mid-fight. Like, I don't know. I was just like, where's Tony? Because there was a part where he wasn't on the screen anymore. And then he's finally on the screen. He's got the glove. He's got the thing. And then he snaps his fingers. And I'm like, okay, great. And then he collapses. And then I'm like, it's over. And just all the way from that moment all the way home, just in tears.
Yep.
And I do think, like, Tony's is different than Bobby's because Tony's story was not about finding peace and happiness in his life. Like, that was not, like, his entire story arc. There were elements to it.
There are absolutely similarities here. Like, I'm not saying...
I'm not saying there aren't. I'm just saying, like, like, Tony's death was more satisfying because his narrative was about something different than, like, Bobby and Dean's. If that makes sense. So I think that's the difference here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're going to compare them, I mean, you've got a character racked by guilt for, like, some of the weapons that he created, not realizing that they were going to the wrong hands. But, like, then you also have Bobby, who's also racked by guilt by the fires that, you know, that he accidentally started. So, I mean, they're kind of the same. The alcoholism
they inherited from their alcoholic, abusive fathers. There are a lot of parallels there.
There are parallels, and I think
I was
that's
looking
going
at
to
it
be
from like a very
Yeah.
zoomed
No.
out point of view, which I do with Endgame. I have to do for
Yeah.
my mental sanity.
Fair.
So
But
from
yeah,
like
it's
that
just
level
never going to be something that I am going to find satisfying.
with Bobby.
No.
Okay, so what the fuck? What the fuck were we doing? Killing any major character without Eddie there, but killing Bobby Nash without Eddie there. The only good mentor / father figure he's ever had in his life. There's so many parallels between them. They're both, again, racked by guilt, hate themselves, like the Catholic guilt.
He's the only one that Eddie's connected with on like losing a spouse.
Yes, there's a lot of things that that Bobby really, Buck is there and understands him in a way that no one else does, but also Bobby understands him in a lot of ways that Buck can't, right? Because Buck just can't relate. It's just so messed up to not even show his reaction. It's so messed up. Like, I don't even want to talk about like how he should have been back to just be there for it. It's so fucked up that they couldn't give us 10 seconds to just show someone, preferably Buck, calling him and him picking up the phone going like, "Hi, Buck." And then just you hear Buck crying and then you just see Eddie's face fall and then you can cut away. That would have been
easy.
That you didn't have to give me. That's all you gave everyone else was just a shot of their face.
Personally, I would accept if it was in the beginning of episode 16, but the fact that in the interviews that were released, Tim said explicitly that you're not going to see that on screen.
Yeah.
And that Eddie does find out through a phone call, but we don't get to see it. That's what's kind of infuriating, because it's that isolation, fracturedness, where like not even.
Also, show me, don't tell me.
It's that, but it's also it is also like that isolated fracturedness to an even greater degree, because Eddie isn't even in the vicinity.
No.
And that seems like a disservice to Bobby to not have his entire family with him.
Yeah.
And I mean, also, like, at that point, like, Harry and May, like, how do we find out that they find out? Like, I'm pretty sure we would see in the next episode, but
who fucking knows?
But it's also that the entire 118 family was not there, and Eddie now has to deal with guilt about not being there on top of everything else.
Not only that, but we got to see fucking Tommy react, but not Eddie. Tommy was there. We had a 2.5 minute helicopter chase, which I'm sorry, did not play out well for me visually.
I kind of liked it, but I'll have to watch it again.
I hated it.
I didn't like it.
I'm just gonna say,
who cares? The idea of it, cool, but you know what also would have been cool? Taking 30 seconds of that away, or just cutting it completely so that we could have had more reactions, because that's more important. It's more important. The major character death is more important than the cool helicopter chase.
Honestly, it's the range of time that goes through, because you're like, it's day and then it's suddenly night. You're in LA.
It was pitch black night.
Like, what are we doing? It really could have been cut at least like half of that. Like, we didn't need all of that.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, in regards to like Eddie not being there, I'm just like sad about it. It just doesn't make, again, none of it makes sense. It just does not make sense that we're not getting a reaction. It doesn't make sense that we can't even get the phone call on screen. It doesn't make sense that it's like a disservice to even him, who he also is a character that, I mean, I get that we said that Bobby sees him, but like Eddie is also a character that understands Bobby in a way. You know, you have all of that from like the end of season 5, where Eddie is like thanking him and saying, "Listen, take credit for me. You saved me. You saved me and my son." Like, you know, there's just it just doesn't make sense that we're doing it this way. I mean, that being said, I get what I think I understand what they're trying to do with that, because I've mentioned it in like the the way they're doing their season 5 redux and like the Eddie breakdown of it all. But I just think
I don't
it's
care. They could still do it. They could
just
still do it with showing us a 5-second reaction.
Yes, I just think I feel like it's very disrespectful of that character who's also part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
It's disrespectful to the character. It's disrespectful to the fans.
I'm cutting it there. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I don't know. I could go on and on about this. I could go on and on about like, listen, there wasn't a lot of time that could have been spared on other things in this episode, but that helicopter chase, and then you could have taken that little, thanks for doing this for me. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for Chimney and for you. Didn't need that. Why did we need that? Because why? Because Tommy is a plot device.
I mean, I told you my reason for why I think it's there, but
I understand the reason for it being there. Do I think it's more important than seeing more reactions from everyone, including just seeing Eddie's at all? Seeing May and Harry find? I'm sorry. I don't know. It's just
it just leaves a poor taste in the mouth.
Yeah,
I think.
Mm-hmm. We are very much trust the process people. So like,
yeah,
we know that there's been a lot of frustrations, like overall with like Eddie's storyline, and like we understand them, but like we're holding off until
the season's over.
The season arc is to fully judge it. But this,
we can't figure out a proper explanation for it, which is what we usually try to do.
Well, we would maybe be holding off to see if we saw it in 16, but Tim already said no. So
yeah,
what are we doing?
That's what I was holding off until I read the articles, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This has been anger.
It will probably continue.
Yeah,
we got 2 weeks.
It's running under the surface of all this a little bit. So
for sure.
I guess that brings us to a bargaining,
aka an open letter to Tim Minear.
Dear Tim Minear,
first of all, let me just quote I think number 1 on your call sheet, Angela motherfucking Bassett. Okay. What did she say? Angela said about envisioning a world where 911 coupling Athena Grant Nash and Bobby Nash doesn't exist. Quote, yeah, absolutely not. It would be so different. I don't even know what the show would be like without them together. It's hard to imagine. Your metaphorical weekly mom and dad will keep you safe.
What happened to that?
Why'd you let her go on People Magazine?
I know.
Say that.
Maybe you should have listened to her. Maybe you should still listen to her.
Yeah.
It's almost like the universe is screaming at you like the entire
It's almost like you said that you had to convince the network. You said that every single cast member you told hated it. Like it's
and tried to talk
like,
you out of it.
Listen, you didn't listen to their bargaining, so now we're just like repeating it back to you with some addendums.
Yeah. And like also, just as an aside, didn't this article that she said this come out on, I think you said March 27th, which was 3 days before
the live stream funeral that we attended?
Yes.
Of the very public funeral procession.
Yeah, which is one of the many reasons that we were like, this is not real.
Yeah. Yeah, because also like that interview, I'm assuming interviews are usually done at least within the same week, generally speaking.
Yeah.
So by that time she would have had to know, I think.
You would think.
Because well, yes, because they would have already filmed 15 because they filmed 14 and 15 before they filmed 13. So that would have already been Kaplitsky. I think I just made that up.
Even if they hadn't, I think Tim said that she was he told Peter like
a couple months
in advance, and that
like they were in talks about it.
Angela was the next person he told, which makes sense because she's also an executive producer.
She has stakes.
I have a hard time believing she didn't know.
And I did say this when that article came out. I was like, why is she saying this? Is this to throw
we did
us
go,
off?
what a weird thing to say.
I just thought it was weird that she went and talked about it. And I don't remember. Wait, March 27th. What episode aired that week? Because I thought it was weird because I don't think she had anything of substance.
Was that 12?
12.
Yeah.
Which was?
Disconnected.
Yeah.
Which was Eddie and Maddie.
and Maddie.
So yeah, she was, but I don't think she talked about that episode though.
Yeah.
Nope.
So what did we do? Anyway,
it was a weird interview that was had and released around a really weird time when the storyline had nothing to do with her. But I get that People Magazine is really just more
maybe
about the
that
celebrity.
was her trying to bargain.
like earn public favor.
And or her being like, yeah, Tim, I recognize that you've made a decision. I had an interview with People. So interesting. Let me tell you what I said.
Yeah. Like kind of trying to nag him out. And like we just said, him having to like pull teeth to convince everybody on the cast. If you have everybody kind of taking the same stance, I know everybody's very close to it, but like there's usually a couple people here and there that are like, okay, I see what you're doing, and like, okay, that's fine. But like everybody trying to talk you out of it, maybe you should listen.
It took
to
Aisha
those other
15 minutes to even believe you were serious.
That's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
Except mine is probably going to be like a couple of days, weeks.
Yes.
Well, technically it's been like a month now.
It'll probably take me until
almost
May 22nd.
Oh.
To believe that it's real, which is a week after the finale. Like,
we'd also like to talk to you, Tim, about this concept that we thought you understood because of the rest of the show that you've been show running. But let's and all of Lone Star, where you also didn't kill any major characters. Major character death is not the only way to establish stakes in the show. It's like people, if they didn't have stakes, there wouldn't be a show. They wouldn't keep watching it.
There's always going to be stakes, but it doesn't have to be
exactly death. Like you've done this successfully for 8 seasons on this show and on Lone Star, because even though the audience, us, the viewers, were pretty certain that the characters were going to survive, the characters in the universe never were. And the stakes have always been the characters' feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the true power of this show lies. Is in the characters. Yes, it's a procedural.
That's the realism.
That's exactly. The emotionality is the realism.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's a procedural. Yes, it's a little larger than life at times. But and we've said this from the very beginning, what grounds 911 is the character and the emotions that they feel and the emotions that the characters feel and that the actors portray for the character through the characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes the audience become so attached and feel and empathize with the characters. So like the characters don't know that it's not like the end all be all. And that's what makes it real. Even if we on the outside are like, it's going to be fine, but I'm still going to go through it when they're going through it because I empathize with the characters because of the writing and the performance.
Yeah.
That's what makes us invested.
In regards to the whole like, oh, now that I've killed off a main character, now there are stakes. Okay, sure. So you killed him off. Okay. He's canonically dead, I guess. You can still change it.
Because you're in charge.
You can still change it because you're in charge. And like, from my understanding is that you're giving these actors scripts at the last minute. You're changing shit all the time.
Why not change this?
And also 2 weeks.
And okay, you want to up the stakes? Okay. So what you could also do. So this is this is me being Delulu or proposing or whatever the fuck.
This is bargaining. Yeah.
Yes.
You could literally, you're going to drag this death as far as you can go. Just go as far as you can go and then take it back. Like it's that simple. Take it back, which is why I still think this is fucking fake, but whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
Because it would be such a good gotcha. It would be the evil kind of thing you would do, Tim. And we would respect that.
Yeah, it would be a good gotcha. And it would also kind of like, okay, it's going to demolish that sense of security that we have, I think, still, it would still work because you dragged it.
Okay, but when's he actually gonna do it now? Like, we'll still be nervous.
Oh, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know. It's like, do we want to keep this one, or are we gonna wait down the line for an even worse death? Like, I don't know. But see, those are the questions that I'm having now, because you literally killed him. Like, you killed him. You killed him. Like, he's dead. Like, he's dead. Like, I don't know.
You can be totally telling the truth in all of these articles and saying, I'm not going to mislead you. He's dead. He can be dead.
Yes.
Buck was dead for 3 minutes. Bobby was dead for 14 minutes without brain damage. Hello, realism.
So real.
I believe you, Tim. He's dead. I believe you. Shit.
So you can be truthful in saying he's dead and then have him be revived, have him be resurrected. And you can even still have these last 3 episodes or whatever, have the other characters be reactive and trying to live in a world without Bobby.
Understand that they can.
They're understanding that they can live without him, but also
they just don't want to.
They don't want to, but also realize how much he means to them. Like, really have that kind of gravitas of sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder, something like that. Distance, whatever those sayings are. Like, having a newfound appreciation for what Bobby means to everybody. You can still have that and still bring him back, and they will be all the more gracious and understanding and appreciative, and not take life for granted. Like, you want the characters to go through grief but also come out the other side with gratitude. This is a perfectly fine way to do it, to pull him back from the brink of death. And you still get that gravitas and that seriousness.
And even if you were like, I just don't want him to be the captain of the 118 anymore because I want to tell the stories that would be told if he's not the captain anymore. Guess what? You can still do that. Why? Because you're in charge. So you could do things like bring him back. And he is so shaken by the experience that he doesn't want to put himself in danger anymore for Athena's sake. Or maybe he's injured. And maybe he's immunocompromised now because of this. Maybe he's injured and has some sort of disability that keeps him from being an active firefighter. So maybe we see him in a different position there. Maybe he retires. And then if he stays as a season regular, then there's a lot of cool stories that we can still explore there. It would be really cool to see a firefighter from this show learn how to find purpose in a different profession.
Which I feel like was kind of touched upon even in the finale of season 2 or early season 3 with Buck. But
it's never find a resolution. It's just people are just no, I would hate my fucking life and it would have no purpose.
And Bobby is in such a different place than Buck was at that point, because Buck was the job is my life. Bobby is not like that. So it would be really interesting to see.
It would be a good perfect example or a model of the after, when even everyone else retires from the 118, whenever we get, well, if we ever get to that point,
if they ever live long enough to get there now,
or the show lasts long enough.
But yeah, it would be a great what you said, model to show that there can be life outside of being a first responder. Like you've done your civic duty and of serving the public, and now you get to be rewarded with retirement and happiness and whatever. And even if you didn't want him to have retired or injured or immunocompromised or whatever, you could also have Bobby still stay within the show and not necessarily be a season regular, but a guest, step back as and be a guest star that comes in every so often, by having Bobby either again be retired or I don't know, promoted to chief, so he's not
work at the academy
or or in charge of the academy, so he's not in charge of the 118 right now, but he's still in the world, in the sphere, in the life, but not all the time. So you can still have Bobby be around, be a presence, but not have to physically be in every episode, which is, I think, the solution that I would have preferred and would like propose if Peter Krause was saying, like, I feel like it's time to take a step back. I'm like, great, be a guest star and come in at like maybe the opening emergency, the closing emergency, and maybe like a couple appearances scattered throughout the season.
Yeah, especially for like special moments for other characters. Like, we keep talking about like walking Buck down the aisle or something, like,
or officiating the wedding.
Yeah, officiating the wedding. I don't know. He could be like a godfather to Madney's new kid. Like, there's so like he can be in those special like moments or episodes because, like, again, this is the found family. Like, killing him is just, I don't have words, you know?
You can't take that back. Hey,
it's too final.
Hey, remember when you killed Shannon? And you've regretted that ever since? I'm going to hold your hand while I tell you this. I think you're going to regret this. So this is us bargaining with you, giving you some ideas.
Yeah.
That, like, we just think that you could use to maybe
here's an alternative.
Take yourself out of this hole. Also, just like one final thing. You could still give us a flashback scene where Eddie finds out.
That's fine too.
Or else.
Non-threatening, mild threat.
That's that me depresso.
That's that us depresso.
Yeah. That's the whole, not even just the fandom. That's everyone who watches this show right now. Everyone's depressed.
I don't think anybody's like, well, nobody's happy.
No.
But I don't think anybody is like not sad. All right. So, talking about being depressed, these are real emotions for characters that have felt so real. It's like family. So, like, again, with what I was saying earlier about how the entire like base of 911 as a show is the characters and how we as the audience are able to empathize with the characters. So, like, as these characters are experiencing these emotions, so are we, and it's very real. Because like the body doesn't know that you're crying over a fictional character. The body doesn't know that it's a fictional character, not a real person who has died. It feels the same. It feels the same in the body. It emits these same like emotions and these same, it activates the same part of the nervous system as if a real person that we know has just died or something terrible, God forbid, has happened, right? The nervous system can't differentiate between real and fictional. So it is all very the same.
And some of our nervous systems really can't differentiate anyway. Like, I have fibro, and I have a fibro flare-up from this because I'm so stressed.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. The stress has been so high.
So, you know, real audience members, there are real audience members who like had this show be like their comfort show, and like you can't, because of all this, like you really can't feel like you can trust it any longer. I feel like it's damaged that trust to a point that you just I can't, I don't know if I can trust it at this point, me personally. And I know other people are also like that they don't know if they're going to continue watching. They don't know how to feel about it. They don't know how we just don't know. We're in a place of like so much uncertainty, and like a lot of it is not like there's no positive feelings out of this.
We had a couple people in our live stream that made me think about these things that I probably might have gotten to eventually. But these are real people, and these aren't the only people I'm sure who are going through this. But like, think about, everyone is experiencing some level of sadness or depression from this who's a fan of the show. And no matter what feelings you are having right now, whatever stage of grief you're in, like, it's all valid. But like, it broke my heart specifically thinking about these people, thinking about people who have lost a father and felt like they could like re-find that connection with Bobby, and that's gone. And thinking about audience members who are widows and their kids lost their father. Specifically, someone who was in the live stream said that they watch it with their kids. Like that happened and they watch it with their kids. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just really, it's hard to find an upside to this like at all. It really, like I can't, as you can tell from this entire episode so far, it's hard to find an upside. But like when you start thinking about like the real impact of like, yeah, the characters are fictional, but the people who love the show are real. And the impact that people feel with fictional characters, like the connection that you find there is real. So that's like a real loss. That's another real loss that they've already had, and it's taking that comfort away from them. And then we've seen this film before and we didn't like the ending. The three of us have been in fandoms for a long time. We've been in many a fandom. We've been burned by a lot of them, most of them, in one way or another. And by major character death, specifically. And the way that this was handled has triggered us, like our experiences with past runners of other shows. And it's made us feel like resigned to like once again feel weary and distressful and despondent, because like we can't imagine how the show is moving forward from this in a way that's positive for the characters and the audience. And that's really fucking hard from us, because we've said from day one on this podcast how this show feels like healing to us because of what we went through with Supernatural. And yes, because of the Destiel stuff, but just overall, like we lost our father figure there. Like we lost
also Bobby,
everyone over there.
That's not nice.
It's not. And so this is really hard. We know this is really hard for everyone, but it's really hard for people who have gone through this shit before.
Yeah.
And who, like, we know a lot of people have a trust issues because of this, and like so do we. But I think we found a lot of comfort in how this show was run.
Operated, yeah.
Like relief almost.
And relief, yes. And just felt like, I don't want to say safe, because like obviously there were still stakes, but like we felt safe in that like we could trust the storytelling. We could trust it and
appreciate where it was leading to.
Yes.
For,
and
for all of the characters.
I just don't know what that is going to look like if we can get back to that place. You know, reserving judgment to see if they stick the landing with him just being dead, which like we're pretty certain he could not be. So this could be moot. But like if he is dead, how does the season finish? And then where do we go from there? Like we just don't.
Yeah.
We don't have that same level of like of trust. And like I don't like feeling that. I don't like feeling weary and distressful. It's one of the many reasons that I love this fucking show. And I'm so glad that like that Tim was back, and that like we started a podcast. I love this show so much. I love how pretty much everything about it is done so much that we started a podcast
to talk about it.
Yes.
At length.
At much length.
Yeah. So like with that being said, not only does this change things for the audience and how the trust that has been built over 7-8 years for some people who have been there from the beginning, or just like very quickly and very deeply for people like us. But this will, like, having Bobby be permadead will irrevocably change the show, and inherently the trajectory for the characters, all of the characters, because now they're going to have to wrestle with their grief for not only the rest of the season, which we know they're going to touch a lot on, but like realistically, if we're talking about realism here, sorry, I keep nailing that point. But so not only for the rest of like the 3 episodes of the season, but for the rest of the entire show, like, because grief is nonlinear, like grief is messy. Like, as someone who has lost a parent, like I can put myself in. Sorry.
Don't apologize. Do you see what you're doing, Tim? It's not very nice.
I thought I could really get through that. Hang on 1 second.
You're okay.
I can reel it. I can reel it in.
I mean, you can talk while you're crying. You're allowed to cry.
I can't really.
Oh.
Rachel's going to make me cry.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Are you a sympathetic crier?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, That's what gets me into this mess, because I am a sympathetic crier. So like for someone who has like lost a parent,
Yeah.
it's so easy for me to put myself in like the place of these characters
Yeah.
for whoever has to react to this. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm like real emotions, and
Yeah.
like it feels real to me for them because it's been real for me.
Yeah.
So I have to deal with that the rest of my life. Anyone who's lost someone has to deal with that the rest of their life. So these characters also have to deal with it the rest of their fictional lives, because they're not just going to get over it. It's going to be a part of them for the rest of time. And if it doesn't factor in to everything that they do, it at some point, I mean, of course, it's not always going to be like the biggest thing, but it's always going to factor into everything they do. And if it doesn't, that's poor writing. So just like generally, this creates like for the characters, it would create a drastic change in like their work dynamics, which is obvious because like they need a captain, but also like on a very personal level, because this would change the show on a molecular level because it changes who these characters are.
Yeah.
I did it. So sorry.
You're good.
Anything else about depression?
Just look at my face.
I've been dissociating most of the day, so if that doesn't scream depression to you, I don't know what does.
I was really hoping we could move past characters haunting the narrative. Shannon.
Oh, well, we will never be. Now we'll never be with Bobby.
Nope.
That'll be forever.
Just when you thought we'd be able to get some closure for a character haunting someone's narrative, guess again.
Think again.
This is never gonna
guess.
This is never gonna go away.
They're not gonna let this one go. No.
So the last thing we have is acceptance, and this is gonna be really short because we don't. We accept it in the way that we're like, well, this is probably real. This is probably real. We accept that. I personally am trying to just make myself be as certain as I possibly can that this is real to protect myself. And that way, if it's not, then great. But I can't live in my like Delulu land like I normally would. I really can't. And I know I'm a liar because in the live stream and in the reaction and then all the time leading up to that, I was like, well, I'll be living in my delusion like until they show me that he's really I'm accepting it. I'm accepting it.
And like here's some reasons why we're accepting it kind of in the way of like we understand what your intention is.
We understand the Council of One has made a decision because of these reasons. Rachel, please read them because I can't.
I know. So me as the
devil's
advocate, I'm not supporting this. I just want to preface, I am not in agreement with this, but this is like, okay, I guess I can understand what you're going for. So like we can understand narratively why Bobby had to make this sacrifice for his team, because he had to make sure as a captain, as a father figure, he had to make sure that they were all safe. So he's doing his due diligence in his job and as someone who loves these people. So like that sacrifice I get. He was always going to give Chimney the antiviral. That was never going to be out of the question. So like, again, narratively, you could say that Bobby throughout these 8 years has reached a self-actualization from where he started at the very beginning, thinking that he didn't deserve to live and he was only serving his penance. And then he could like walk off into the great beyond, and like right his perceived wrongdoings for what happened in St. Paul. But throughout his trajectory on the show, he's finally, and like he says to Athena, he finally allowed himself to live and start a new life and find joy. So I guess you can consider that closure or a conclusion narratively, because he is in a different place than when he started. I don't know why that place has to end right now. but I get it.
No, because he literally just got to a place where he isn't just like, yeah, I'm okay with dying.
Yeah,
like last season.
Like last season, we've had like
the end of last season.
We've had like 14 episodes where he's like, yeah, I don't want to die. But this is the acceptance stage. And you could say ostensibly, like objectively, these episodes were successful because they pulled at the heartstrings of both the characters and the audience and like the actors, obviously, who are portraying these characters and reacting emotionally. Because and this is gonna sound like kind of tutti frutti, because like art at its core is supposed to evoke strong emotions.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be positive emotions.
No.
So like from an objective standpoint, success, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, hold on. I'm going to say something and put it in the other section. I don't know what section. I think with this kind of storyline, the kind of emotions you'd want to be evoking would be sadness, distress, like just bereavement. People are mostly just fucking angry. And I think that means it wasn't done well.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going for emotion.
Yeah.
Which, okay, check. But the emotion is not the intended emotion.
Yeah.
You want
actually, this can stay here. This isn't me. I'm accepting it. This is just like,
yeah, because you want like catharsis. You want like
a cathartic death. Like
yes,
a
you want
catharsis. Yeah.
Like it's sad, but it feels good.
Yes.
Because it works.
Yes.
I don't think anyone is feeling cathartic.
No.
But they are feeling something very strongly.
So, and then that's my question. Tim, what kind of emotion did you want us to feel? Like happy that he died a heroic death?
It was heroic.
But what the aftermath, the overall emotion, like what were we really supposed to feel? Because right now, no one's feeling anything positive.
Especially when you're like anticipating the backlash from fans.
There was always going to be backlash. I just don't.
Yeah. For any decision, there's always going to be backlash. That's fair. And you have to prepare for that.
It's just, there's just a way that I feel like he could have done this with a good amount of lead up, really, really nodding to the point that GA would get. Because like we didn't even really get foreshadow. Like all the things that we talked about foreshadowing for him being, we should say this here, all the things that we talked about being foreshadowing for him still being alive could also be reverse foreshadowing, like the reversing expectations. So like what we talked about in season 2 with the ruined miracle, basically how they kept like showing like mother surviving and then they killed Shannon. So like you could say that it's that. But like you could have done it in a way that really made it obvious to us and especially the general audience that like something could be like you feel some sort of sense of foreboding. And then you could have done it in a way that the audience is destroyed and they're so fucking sad. And like maybe they don't know if they can keep watching because they'll miss Bobby so much. But like they still thought it was a good story.
And it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. No. In fact, it should be
both.
And that would be the ultimate acceptance of that. Because like we can understand what's going on here with the narrative.
Yeah.
We get what you were going for, I think, as much as we can like put ourselves in those kind of shoes. Like we get it. I don't think so. We accept it as a decision that has been made. But I don't think we accept it as like the right decision.
No.
At the end of the day. At the end of this day.
So why don't you bring them back and then you can do this again, but better at some point. Why don't you wait until season 10, you know?
That's too soon. 15.
No, but honestly, like I'm not gonna lie, like if they were gonna do this, I was like thinking, give me 3 more. Give me 7, 8, 9.
Give us a couple more, yeah.
And then probably maybe end of 9 going into 10, like if you really wanted to kill someone off now that you're in a new network and then like different type of show, you know, like
and then lead up to it all season.
Yeah.
So don't know.
I guess that's still a little bit of
Just some
bargaining.
thoughts.
But
It is still bargaining, but you know what? Grief is not linear.
no, like I said,
This is the way we're accepting it right now. So
yeah.
who knows where we're going to be? Who knows where we're going to be? Who knows where our thought process is going to be tomorrow, 2 days from now, a week from now?
Moments of going, this is fake. Because we're just like, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess in the future, if Bobby is actually alive, Kenny Choi,
bravo.
Just standing ovation always for your performance, but this is your best one.
Yeah.
This was not real. And if it is, I'm so sorry. Because I think Kenny Choi's taken this worse than anyone else.
I know. And if it is real,
I'm so sorry.
I think you broke Kenny Choi.
I think you did, Tim. I think you broke him.
And we're concerned about him almost more than we're concerned about us.
Like, does he get workman's comp?
Oh my God.
Your boss psychologically torturing you.
like we love to be psychologically messed with, just like the next person, but this is a lot.
Yeah.
This is a lot.
Yeah.
Do we have any
just
other
like to, no, I just sorry again with Kenny Choi. I would just like to say that we stand with Kenny Choi. We always do, but right now, just we see you, we hear you,
he's the
we
only
feel
warrior.
You, we are
we
you.
See you.
We are all Kenny Choi.
We see you, Kenny. We are all Kenny Choi.
Thank you so much for tuning in to our grief special, which we never thought or wanted to do.
This was not the episode that we ever intended on recording.
Not what we wanted to do.
And not what we wanted to do today.
But we hope that you'll find some comfort in this, or just some camaraderie, or, something. Something positive, or just, I don't know.
Just know that, like, you can commiserate with us.
Yeah.
Because we're feeling the same thing. And, like, if you need to talk to us on socials, talk to us on Discord.
Yeah.
Like, we are literally all going through it together. And I think the best thing that we can do, like, as a fandom, is
be there for each other.
Be there for each other. Find that camaraderie in community, and just hold space with each other. Because that's, I know that I
love saying hold space.
I do, but I've been saying hold space before Wicked. But
I know
that is like the least you can do, and sometimes it's the most beneficial and the most powerful thing.
And if you don't want to talk to us, that's fine. But talk to your buddies, because we're all going through it, but some of them might be going through it more than others. And they could use you. And if you're one of those people who needs other people, don't be afraid to reach out to your friends, for some support.
So just to close this out, as the great modern philosopher Samuel L. Jackson says in Avengers, I recognize the council has made a decision,
but given that it's a stupid ass decision,
I've elected to ignore it.
Bye.
Bye.